Okay, number 10. We have the velocity along the angle there, except it's in feet per second. So here's feet per second, and I looked it up, and the conversion between meters and feet is 0.3048 meters per foot. If we put the feet on the bottom and the meters on the top, the feet cancel out, and we get meters per second. And that then is our value along here. We know the angle. We only have two big questions this time. What's the distance of the peak and the flight time? Well, what can we find from this and that? Well, we know we have a right triangle. So if we used sine of 24.8 degrees, we know that the opposite is over the hypotenuse. So here's my opposite over hypotenuse. And this multiplies to that, and we get 7.67 meters per second is the speed value for y. And again, these right triangles in these cases don't relate distances, not like your math class usually here. They relate speeds. They do not relate the distances. So what do we know after that? We know that gravity is working against the flight of the ball vertically at negative 9.81 meters per second squared. We know at the top of the arc the speed has to be 0. We now know that the vertical speed is 7.67 meters per second. That's what we just figured out here. And what do we want? Well, one of the things we want is d. So how about we find a formula that uses all four of those, and here's one. Remember, we don't know time at this point, so we can't use time. Actually, you could do these in any order, sort of, but at the moment I don't know time, so this is what I did. I chose this formula here. I put in 0 for that, and put in the value here, put in a. Remember, a is gravity in this case, and it's got to be negative. And then I can solve for d. So this multiplies to be this. And this squared becomes this value, but I moved it over here. I subtracted it across, so it becomes negative. And then I divided this under, so I get this, divided by that, equals d. And the negatives cancel out, and I get 3. It's darn close, and I rounded, and it's really, really close to 3.0. Actually, let's erase that arrow. We're not going to use the d over here. I know VF. I know VI vertically, remember? And I know A is gravity working against me, and I can figure out time. So I put in this value, this value. Here's A. Remember, it's got to be negative. I can't subtract these two because, remember, this is multiplied by t. I cannot do this minus that. So what I'm going to do, besides, excuse me, you know what? That is wrong. There's not a squared there. We're going to subtract this across, then we're going to divide under, and we get this divided by that. The negatives cancel out, and I get 0.782 seconds is the time, but remember that was only traveling vertically, so that's the time at the top. The total flight time then is double that, twice the time to the top, and we get the total